right. Okay, Crystal. All right. Are we ready? Are we ready?
Well, Mia, I think we are ready with the proper
Bam.
amount of rage.
We Rage for our listeners today. Welcome to As the Pages Turn. Rage has been engaged. Not,
Yeah,
I
per
don't
se
know if
usual,
this
my co-host and I are pissed.
is, man, like, do we have an episode we haven't been pissed at? Actually, the next episode, no, we'll still be pissed. Okay, well, anyways, we do
I
Rage
think we
episodes,
won't
I've
be pissed
realized.
if we ever make that K-pop Demon Hunters episode.
Okay, you need to calm down. Yes, I finally watched it, but oh my god. That's a different episode, Crystal. Okay, you guys, welcome to As the Pages Turn, episode 120,000. Anyways, so we took a little break. We had a weekend off, not much of one. And I swear, I kid you not, you guys, we take one weekend off and we come back to two conventions having absolute fuck ups on different scales. And by the way, I will say there was a good and there was a bad. So we actually have one good convention, Crystal. We have one
Well,
versus
good-ish,
5 million.
but it was good-ish. Not for once, it wasn't the showrunner's fault.
It wasn't the organizers. But this episode, so this is part one of this episode. And part one, we are going to talk about Once Upon a Con. And was it Once Upon a Convention or Once Upon I feel like they should just call themselves Once Upon
I thought
a Con.
they were nothing but a con, obviously.
I
I
mean,
think they called themselves Once Upon a Con.
I
I
don't
honestly,
understand. Okay,
yeah, I'm
so
looking at their website. It's Once Upon a Con.
it is. It is. Well,
It's a
they did
story of
name
how
it
they committed
aptly.
a con.
They named it aptly. Congratulations. Okay, so, and I put the timer on because me and Crystal are so pissed about in different ways for these conventions that I actually put the timer on so that our range will not keep us going over. So,
Yeah.
let's do a brief summary. And I will say before I start the summary, we tried to research a lot of this. If we have missed anything, that is on us. We apologize. If anything we've said is wrong, also on us because I tried to get as many facts as we could. So did Crystal. We kind of combining what we found. There's a lot of stuff posted in a lot of different places. I kid you not. I have Instagram, TikTok, and Threads all up right now because I have different things for each thing up.
Yeah, and I will be posting all our sources below. So if you're curious, well, where did y'all find this? Where did y'all find that?
Yes.
You'll be able to find it.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's start with Once Upon a Con. I forget the organizers' names, honestly, and I don't. They're Once Upon a Con can fuck off. Fuckery 1 and Fuckery 2. I don't know. Thing 1, Thing 2. I don't know. Because we had a couple of organizers for this and they threw Once Upon a Con. And in theory, what was advertised was not what was delivered. However, I will say,
I
will give them 0.5 seconds of credit that it wasn't absolute fuckery of AML, but it was maybe
AML there are some shitty acts that are very hard to follow.
That's true. So for this, you guys, try to imagine AML, but it had actual attendees. So for this event, we had authors. This was advertised as a fantasy convention. They were going to have a cafe with a capital F because they were going to have a Fae cafe. It's actually Crystal knows these because I wasn't familiar. These are based on conventions held or cafes held in is it for anime cafes?
Yeah, I think they were trying to copy the anime cafe. You mentioned a maid cafe, but
yeah.
I think it was meant to be more like an anime cafe. And I watch people go to anime cafes. Those things, they're cute in the sense that you can buy a lot of merch from your favorite anime there. Some of them have food that is subpar, but it was designed to look like the characters and it's very cute. A lot of them, it has the design is lackluster, but at least goes with the theme. Yeah. This one, at least some of the anime cafes try, and they're mostly pop-ups.
Yeah. And the thing is the way they advertised it, by the way, is that they were going to have this huge fantasy ball. They were going to have tons of cosplayers. Also, side note, my poor cosplayers. Okay.
Why are cosplay people always getting abused? I'm getting really fed up with this. We need Mia, I'm calling you in the background because me and I talk about this on our own time sometimes.
We will.
They're building this creative caucus in Congress that I want to look into. I demand that we get some bills to try to help people who are even career creative in the cosplayer area from getting harassed and screwed over. I would like it if we had some legislation to help them, because these people are getting harassed whenever they do their job. And it's like in ways where you're like, can you be a damn adult for once half the time?
Yeah. So we were supposed to have cosplay people. There were supposed to be a lot of volunteers. And by the way, what I did hear after this is that a lot of the volunteers tried to do their best. Some of them were running around with tears in their eyes. These poor people. We had cosplayers who were crying. Organizers who are going to fuck up. Can I just request that in the future you leave the fucking cosplay community alone? You're making Book Talk look bad. You're giving us a fucking bad reputation of using cosplayers and fucking throwing them away. What in the actual
if they didn't harass cosplayers or people, that would mean they're decent human beings, and clearly these people are not.
I'm over it, because look, the cosplay community has dealt with a lot of shit, and if you haven't told, I'm very pro cosplay. Probably because I'm a theater person and I worked in the costume department for a few years. I am very pro cosplay. I cannot.
I have seen what it takes to really do those costumes properly, the amount of effort and work, especially if they have to use the body paint and stuff. Yeah. And it's just like, my goodness.
My sister-in-law is a costumer. She will take like months on one costume for Halloween, let alone regular outfits, let alone presentation outfits. And that doesn't include, I have a friend who's an official, like, paid costumer who actually does stuff for SDA and other things. She works months. She works to the bone. So I see how much work goes into cosplay. So organizers who are going to fuck up, I just request ahead of time that y'all leave cosplayers alone. Leave them the fuck out of the shit. Because I'm tired of having to sit here and say, I'm sorry for Book Talk that we fucked your shit up, because evidently there are people in Book Talk who don't understand how to treat people. Y'all be rude,
in all fairness, it's not all a Book Talk. If it was, then you and I wouldn't be sitting here raging right now.
Probably. So there was supposed to be cosplayers. There was also a Fae. So separately, there was a collective, the members of the cast at Once Upon a Time, there was a collective of people who were hired to play characters from the Court of Roses and Thorns, which is Sarah J. Maas. And then you had, based on her books, and then you had other people who were paid, nobody, sorry, let me start out with nobody's been the fuck paid. But
nobody's gotten their money. Nobody's seen any paper.
There was other people who were hired to be Fae entertainers in the Fae Cafe. And there was also supposed to be a fantasy ballroom. And Crystal, you will not be surprised to hear that also was fucked up. So.
Wow, Mia, you're sensing the amount of shock in my voice. The second you even said it was fantasy ball, I just asked, what did they do wrong? I didn't ask you, did it work out? I didn't ask you, did people have a good time? The only thing I said immediately as you told me was, what the hell did they do wrong this time? And I
don't even know where to start, because so many people were fucked with in so many ways that I feel like it is just the amount of fuckery. The amount of fuckery was ridiculous.
To protect what a person loves most, sometimes they have to hide it or them. Sadly, not all secrets get to remain secret forever. Realms, the Hidden Fairy, available now.
As always, this podcast is brought to you by technical difficulty.
Yes, we had technical difficulties because the recording device we are using decided to give me a nice echo and keep me unaware of it.
I know, and I was hearing it. I was like, "Oh my god!" Because Crystal has very sweetly been editing these because she has the program. I don't have access to one yet, and stuff is going to get settled there. But we'll talk about that later.
It'll get settled when we can finally hire that college student I'm always telling you about to do all the editing for us.
You have this idea in your head of this mythical college student, and we're going to have to talk about this.
They're going to do it for college credits alone.
I mean, I don't know that it'll count. So anyways, besides Crystal, my dreams of chocolate and Crystal's dreams of a college intern, let's move on.
For editing purposes only. So anybody with a dirty mind, you go clean it up. Go take a bath in some holy water.
Oh, but we needed a laugh. Okay, so in this Once Upon a Con, there was supposed to be everybody. So here's what we know: the tickets were $125 for general admission. They were $100 pre-order, and they were $200 for VIP. And VIP were supposed to get swag on the swag bags, Crystal. The swag bags.
Well, there were swag bags this time.
There were actual bags this
time. AML crap.
Yes, but it was like stickers and it was nothing. It was nothing great.
They existed this time, Mia.
But again, our conspiracy about Santa Claus could still be valid here. He could still be stealing stuff for Christmas, and we wouldn't know.
Mia, I bet he took half of the stuff in the swag bag.
He
couldn't steal it all this time. So he took part of it.
He took part of it. Oh my God. Okay. And then there was supposed to be a fantasy ball. There was supposed to be so this huge cafe. There was supposed to be a lot of panels and a lot of VIT. There was supposed to be and there was this gold doubloon program too. And I'm not sure that we have, because I've tried to read up on it. Essentially what I have gotten is that authors, so they have this gold doubloon system. And so my understanding is people who paid for VIP, and it was VIP only, got a certain amount of gold doubloons, and they could trade these into the authors for book. And then the event people would pay the author for the book cost. So nobody was getting supposedly screwed out of money. But of course, has anybody been paid? No, they have not, of course. And so then and then what I heard was that on top of the gold doubloon situation, then I saw in another post, and again, this is 3 different platforms of information, that the VIP people, basically, it sounds like there was a running theme in a lot of these threads about how the event organizers were actually blaming shit on authors, and so gave their VIP people more doubloons to supposedly make up for the cancel, because there was, supposed to be panels and all this stuff, and a lot of this stuff got canceled. And then on top of that, everything was supposed to be in one building next to a Hilton. Crystal, take it away.
Well, we're wondering if there's some kind of Hilton conspiracy, because why are Hilton hotels always promised, yet not fully delivered or delivered?
It's always a Hilton. So anyways, what happened was everything was supposed to be at this one place. And then some of these events got switched to a secondary place that people had to travel for. But mind you, some people were booked up because they had everything very scheduled. Some people were booked up at certain times for certain events, and they had panels they wanted to go to, and yada, yada, yada. And so there were things that they had to travel back and forth. And so they ended up being late and missing out on stuff, but then half the stuff was canceled. So really, what did they miss out on? So I don't even know what to start with. We're already at 47 minutes, and I do not know.
Let's pause. Let's calm down. Did we fully explain what happened in the fantasy cafe? I brought up a comparison.
No, well, let's do that. Let's start there, because
we have an issue of grapes, of which I would.
Crystal has a grape issue. I have a poor anime people issue. Okay, so actually, let's start at the very, very beginning. So what happened was, to start this fuckery off, all of these staff, volunteers, cosplayers, were all told they would get paid rooms, and they did not. That did not happen.
They basically were saying, go sleep in the street. We told you we paid for the room, but not really.
But we lied. And in fact, some of them had to wait up to, I heard all of them, had to wait up to 6+ hours because the hotel was trying to get a hold of the organizers and Crystal, where were the organizers?
Honestly, I don't even freaking know.
They were not there. Your answer is correct. $200 for you. That doesn't exist. It's Monopoly money.
Oh, great. I got Monopoly money, just like what the event organizers gave most of their people.
That's what I'm saying. I'm offering Monopoly money because I think it's in theme here. So these people were offered rooms that were supposed to be comped, were not comped. People waited 6 hours to be told that they either had to pay or GTFO. I don't know. So
a lot of people chose to GTFO because, they weren't going to play this bullshit.
So there were volunteers who, and no fault to them, there were there were people who left, and my understanding is the cosplayers stayed. Of course, the poor cosplayers stayed.
I think it wasn't all of them, but a bunch of them did stay. A bunch of them did leave because once the bullshit started, they weren't staying.
Yeah. And some people drove 12 hours to get to this event. If I'm telling you right now, if I have to fly somewhere for an event and you don't have a hotel room for me, and I'm supposed to be comped for it, are you kidding me? I will turn that ticket right around. Don't even think I won't. I don't play. So
we're flying for events next year. The only difference is we know at least there'll be something waiting for us because we'll have to arrange it ourselves, but still.
Exactly. So then on top of that, authors were told that there was the gold doubloon situation, which they were told they would be comped for those. Nothing's been comped for that. As well, authors were told that they should bring 30% of ticket sales. And they were told that, I believe, 6,000 is a number that got tossed out. Why? Why was it 6,000?
I don't know why they tossed out 6,000. I do know they were telling the authors, because one of the authors was even emphasizing it because she's new to the writing game.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that they told them like 500 books should be the estimated amount you bring. And people, I'm going to be honest with you. I know a lot of people have this idea that, we can just go to our publisher and order the books.
Right.
No, that price falls on us, and we have to make that price up plus make a profit to continue. So asking,
and we have to pay shipping. We are indie authors. So like, here's the thing. In traditional publishing, yes, your publisher would be handling certain costs, but we don't have that as indie authors. As indie authors, we have to pay for the book. Yes, Amazon gives us a discount, but fuck them, because honestly,
Amazon charges us for shipping. So understand it's not 100% a discount.
So basically, they charge us to make it and push it out. And so we have to pay for this. So for every book we have to pay at least, I think the most minimum shipping I've ever paid is $4, but that's the minimum.
I think you mine was $5, but I have to double check. And that was for the book I had color pages for.
You start at $4 and go up. So if you're talking about you have to pay $2 to $10 to publish your book, and then you have to pay the shipping, which is $4 to $10 or $4 to $12 or $4 to $20, you literally end up having to pay about $20 to $30.
And this is not a whole buy more, pay less thing like with pamphlets. Books are different from pamphlets.
So it's you have to pay $15 to $30 to get your book published, to have it for a convention, to give it out to somebody. So these are costs that matter.
Well, get your book printed, not published.
Yeah, so when you're told that you should bring 500 books, honestly, you're like, oh my God, that's so many books, and you're literally paying per book. So and
the idea is to sell the book at, not charge too much, but sell the book for enough to make the money back plus a little bit of a profit.
So even at the cheapest, so say it's like, because I've had a book that was like $4 to print and then $5 for shipping. So $9, right? Times 500. That would literally be $4,500 for that one convention that I would have had to spend.
Yeah.
To bring 500 books. That does not include food. That does not include travel. That does not include anything else. Okay. So you're telling me that people came expecting to have rooms comped, and these were not, I don't think those were the authors per se, but I
think those were more the speakers.
Yeah, those were all the volunteers and stuff. But authors paid a good amount of money to come to this. Now, I will say that there were some authors who said, you know what, because there were AML authors who were there, those poor people. So we had AML authors who actually showed up to this event and also are now being fucked again for money, because I guess this is the year of fuckery. So they showed up, and supposedly the crowds were good though. There were enough people, so they had advertised.
There are actual people there, so people weren't the problem this time.
So they did actually advertise this event, but here's the problem: is they did a lot of false advertising, is what I'm seeing. So basically, for the cafe, and we're getting into that now, Crystal. So
I know once we get to cafe, I got some things to say.
Okay, but again, time is ticking, so we can't spend 20 minutes on the grape. We can't, Crystal. We just can't. Chocolate, maybe. Grapes, no. So the cafe was advertised as all the money from the cafe. I'll even read it to you. Cafe is Once Upon a Con's twist on traditional anime convention maid cafe. This will be a fae-themed cafe styled after traditional maid cafes of Japan. All for charity. Yeah, remember that, people. Remember that it was for a charity. And the charity was Make-A-Wish, which I love Make-A-Wish. That is probably one of the charities that if we ever get big enough, them and St. Jude
they're on
both on my list. They're on our list.
Not to put them on the list, I will slap them.
Yeah, because those two, Make-A-Wish in itself is like, these are kids who are passing away. These are people who are passing away, and this is their one wish, or have serious diseases that they cannot do a lot. And this is their one wish for something happy in their life, a happy moment. And you're telling me that this is the part I'm sorry, Crystal, we're starting with the part that enrages me, and we'll get to the grapes though, I promise.
It's fine. It's fine. There's a lot of things to say here, and I'm still mad about Make-A-Wish. The grapes are one thing, but the Make-A-Wish thing was the most.
Well, we're gonna talk about that first, because one of the more serious accusations right now about Once Upon a Con, and I haven't heard this in a lot of places, so this is why I want to talk about this, is that Once Upon a Con advertised that the money would be going to Make-A-Wish Foundation. All profits raised from the cafe will be given to Make-A-Wish Foundation. Now, what I also have here is I have a screenshot of an author who went to Make-A-Wish Foundation because they wanted to know if they'd gotten their money, because nobody else had, right? And we'll get into the money discussion too. And so the organizer, Sherry L. Hewitt, who is the CPA she's CPA, but she's the COO and CFO of the Mid-Atlantic Make-A-Wish. So now we know who to contact, Crystal. She literally said, "Hello, as I mentioned on our call here, here's our response to your inquiry about Once Upon a Con 2025 event. Make-A-Wish is not affiliated with this event and was not informed of or involved with its planning or execution. The use of our name and logo was unauthorized and occurred without our consent. We are currently reviewing the matter and will take appropriate steps to protect our brand and ensure transparency with our supporters."
Yeah. So in other words, they lied to people. So people bought that ticket thinking, "Oh, I'm going to have fun time at this fantasy tea shop, and I'm going to get into what maid cafes in Japan are like." But it's like, you're
Crystal, show the pictures here.
Tea shop. You think you're helping children who are sick, and a lot of people I know, when you see these things, sometimes you're hesitant because you're like, "I don't know," but then you see, "Oh, they support Make-A-Wish. Well, if I get this, then I'm ensuring a child gets to have a fun day." And they're very sick.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck? Why of all things would you screw over dying children?
I know. And then what's worse is because they did such a bad job with this cafe. And by the way, first, let me say that the poor people who played the fae of this cafe, my sympathy goes out to you.
Yeah, I do feel bad for them.
People were thrown into the situation where they literally had to do decorations. They had to buy the food. They were not given money for food. They were not given food. They were not given decorations.
Here. I'm not talking about the grapes yet, but while we're getting the food here, okay.
Well, we might as well talk about it.
This really quick. I do want to say this really quick. Okay, so they said like maid cafes in Japan. I will tell you guys, maid cafes in Japan are really equal to going to Hooters. If the food's not really that great or anything like that, but they still advertised it as more of an experience. And even Hooters does a better job than this.
But here's the thing, Crystal, is that even if they are the equivalent of Hooters, at the very least, the way they spun it, because they showed, and I kid you not, Crystal's going to start throwing up images here in a minute, but the images they showed for the advertisement, they showed this very classy, decorated room that had like official decorations, yada, yada, yada.
It looked very pretty, and they promised nice teas.
Yes. They literally only had tablecloths, and I'm pretty sure that actually, I don't even think they had tablecloths. No, they did not. I'm confirming that now. They did not have tablecloths. What they
promised tablecloths and did not deliver.
So what happened with the cafe part is that people were scheduled for this event in different times, and I got this from a different video that I have to find again. But basically, they were scheduled for, I don't know if it was 1 hour or 2 hour brackets, but they were scheduled for different times to come into this cafe. And because it was supposed to be held at the other event place, it was going to be only 5 minutes away. So people could just pop in and then pop out to their panel. But when they switched the cafe event to a different place. So what happened was people literally had to travel to this separate building to go to this event, and then so they had to like run in and run out. And then on top of this, the poor fae performers, my understanding is these poor fae performers got there dressed up, ready to serve, and literally were told, got no money, got no decorations, and had to go spend their own money to buy food, buy decorations, and do it themselves.
And that is a great idea. Since when do the employees buy the stuff? When is it the employee's responsibility to buy the food and all that stuff? That makes no sense.
And so some of the people who are making videos basically said, I'm pretty sure they went down to the shop that was on a different floor. And those stuff, obviously, if you go to like a convention shop, it's usually not, it's not cheap. It's expensive, right?
It's really not.
These poor performers had to spend a bunch of money buying, and I kid you not, they had Little Bites cookies, which are those tiny ass packages of cookies. They had Nutri-Grain bars. They had a few croissants and pastries, and then they had a 12-ounce can of brisk iced tea. And that was their choice.
Had
popcorn.
Unwashed fruit, which I'm not going to pick on the event people for that, because the event performers for that, because they had to go and buy this stuff. But still,
One of the pictures had grapes on it.
Persnickety about the grapes being dirty. But in my opinion, she's right. Because nobody should be forced to eat dirty fruit.
Yeah. So, and this woman who actually posted about this actually spoke about how she has a few food issues, which is not their responsibility. But she said, I kind of prefer my stuff washed. And when she got these grapes, they weren't even washed. And so
they should be washed because you're supposed to wash your fruits and vegetables before you eat them.
And then on top of that, they had popcorn as their gluten-free thing. So again, these poor performers, and I actually have a statement from the performer. So Elise Angel 7 was one of the maids at the cafe, and she said, "Hi, I was your fave maid. You and your group were absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for understanding and not blaming us. We staff truly thought we were going to give you the beautiful advertised experience, and it was heartbreaking for us when faced with the reality. We shared in your frustration at being abandoned and lied to by our so-called leaders. The least and she was basically saying, the least she could do is to make sure her guests had something positive. So again, could we not fuck with cosplayers or people who dress up? Just random. Anyways,
or give them the entire job. Because Mia, I'm gonna be honest. Here's one of the many reasons I'm mad. It is not that hard to go to Costco, Sam's, or BJ's.
I guess these organizers don't know what Winco's is or a Costco. Like, how do you not know where the Costco's at, people?
Yeah, or even Sam. Like Sam's,
I know.
I admit, it doesn't always taste the best out of the bunch unless it's their rotisserie. Mm-hmm. But anyway, here's to my point. Yeah, to my point. You could have gone down to one of these, big whatchamacallit stores, gotten a couple containers of some pastries and stuff for a certain amount. Considering how much you were charging for the cafe, you would have gotten that money back. Gotten a couple pastries, gotten some fruit you would have had time to wash.
Yeah.
You could have even gotten some teas and stuff.
And all they had was Brisky in a can. Yeah.
It would not have been that hard to really do a simple, tea shop thing and giving people an experience.
I mean, you can get 100. Dude, I go to the dollar store all the time and get 100 tea bags. You guys could have gotten tea bags from the dollar store for $1.25.
Yeah, sure, it tastes like shit, but you would have been able to do it.
Actually, the tea isn't too bad. I will give dollar store credit. Their tea is not bad.
Okay, the tea I got from dollar store doesn't taste that great, but we don't live in the same state.
The green tea, don't get the green tea there, but the black tea.
It wasn't green tea. It was supposed to be a fruit tea. It tasted like absolutely nothing. But
I get the boxes there of black tea. But anyway, so we
live in different states, so we can't do a fair comparison.
We can't. We'll have to do that later. So anyways, one of the people posted was a mom of one of the Fae people. And she basically said they were not given anything. Their child had to go to the store with their money or go to the place downstairs. I'm taking it to get stuff so that, and they tried to do some decorations in the new building, but they didn't have a lot. And my understanding, because I watched several videos about the cafe part, because a lot of people were excited about this. A lot of people, readers, authors, a lot of especially the readers, man. These are readers. This person's these are readers who are getting disappointed, and this upsets me because we as authors go here, and part of the thing we promise you is if we're advertising this to our readers, we expect you to keep your fucking promises, and part of your promises is to not run a shitty event. And how are you going to have a cafe and then the readers there were several readers who went to this cafe who got no food because when they went, the probably the earlier ones didn't get any food because the Fae people at that point probably thought food were still coming and hadn't bought it themselves. So
they went there hungry because it's not fair. They probably thought, I got tickets to my fairy cafe thing. I'm going to go sit down, have my nice fairy meal experience, and then go into the book thing, shop everything, and then maybe go to a nicer restaurant or something later if you feel like it. Because you're thinking the fairy thing is most likely going to be your breakfast and or lunch. And they didn't get that. I mean, my goodness, Mia, these people couldn't even be bothered to buy. Even they have packs of royally crab meat sandwich wraps at Costco, Sam's, BJ's, and other ones.
Okay, deep breath. Take a deep breath. So
it's such a simple fix. Again,
I know.
None of these people do it. It's so simple.
Let's go on with, let's actually go to the cosplayers first, because the cosplayers can then lead us into, the cosplayers and the volunteers kind of go together, and then we can finish with what happened to the authors.
Yeah, because we need to get
second part. We're trying to,
we're done with the cafe.
Yeah, as you can tell, just as a note, me and Crystal are food people. If we ever take you to a convention, let me promise you, we will make sure that if there's food there and they advertise it as such and they don't provide, let me promise you, me and Crystal are the fuck on it. Me and Crystal will buy food for our readers if we have to.
Chocolate, you should have suspected we were foodies.
As right, we are food people.
Running on about how the chocolate comes from Ghana. You should know.
I will literally have my boyfriend Jason bake some shit for you guys if I have to. If food is promised and not delivered, do not worry. Yeah, I have your fucking back.
I had a whole crawler with a Smith Island cake. You were asking, what does that look like? I showed you, and Jason's like, I'm going to make that.
Exactly. So let me tell you, food-wise, we will never take you to a convention. And if we ever go to a convention that has this amount of fuckery, let me tell you, me and Crystal will figure something out. We'll go to Costco. We'll go to Walmart. Jason will be baking. I don't know what the fuck we'll do, but we'll do something.
And we'll just probably go to Costco. You know that's where the good quick food is.
Okay, so let's get to the poor cosplayers. Again, why are we fucking with the cosplayers? So the cosplayers who are supposed to be the cast at Once Upon a Con, they said, they basically put out a statement after all this shit went down. They said, we, the undersigned, were hired as part of the cast at Once Upon a Con. We were contacted to play different characters. Until now, many of us have remained quiet online, both for our own safety and because truthfully, we have very little concrete information. And why they had to be afraid for their safety is like very upsetting to me. Because
it's very concerning to me because why do they have to be afraid for their safety?
Exactly. So they basically said, however, given the understandable frustration and the spreading of misinformation, they had to make a statement. So they basically said, first and foremost, we as cast members faced many challenges as most of the cast members and volunteers of the con did. And con is the word for it. We were not
the entire convention was a con.
Exactly. They were told that they were going to get lodging and meals. By the way, that is very important. All of the volunteers for this con were told they would get lodging paid for and meals provided in a separate area. And the cosplayers were told this as well. But surprise, surprise, none of it was there. So they were not provided lodging, meals, or handlers by the con, as was contractually. So by the way, Once Upon a Con, you really fucked up because if you had this shit in a contract, I hope these people sue you. Because if
I hope so too. You couldn't even be bothered to get a fucking Sam's rotisserie to at least feed your performers. It is not that hard. I do it all the time.
Deep breath. Deep breath. I know the food is very upsetting. Deep breath. The making of the food is very upsetting to us.
Being forced to starve.
I know. Because that's especially at a convention where you're on your feet all day. And by the way, I heard the water again was like some absurd amount of water. Dude, you people need to go to Costco and buy water for people. Oh my God. Anyways, so then they talked about
go to Costco. You can go to fucking Walmart.
I know.
Never mind.
Breath. So furthermore, there was a lack of communication with us leading up to and during the con. We ended up having to pay for our own accommodations, cover our own meals, and any gatherings we had were personal off-the-clock moments where they basically had to cry on each other's shoulders. And despite these difficulties, they stayed on site and they remained committed because they were trying to give the guests the best experience.
And I have to applaud them for that because, you know, when they were not properly accommodated to do their job, they still fought to do the job. And did they get what they were promised? No. So I have to applaud them for being above and beyond professional.
You guys get some applause. Yeah. Nobody else gets, but you guys and the volunteers get applause.
Yes, you get all the applause and all the love.
Yes.
These event organizers, what the hell is wrong with you?
Can get fucked.
Me and I have given you the answer in less than 5 seconds.
Okay, we can't go back. So they talked about how the only reason we were able to push through was because of the incredible interactions with attendees, the camaraderie of our fellow cast members, the kindness of staff, and the volunteers who stood behind that, beside us. For that, we are deeply grateful. Like everyone else, we are still waiting for official statements and reimbursement. So they too have not gotten paid. And by the way, I want to mention them by name because they obviously these poor people were put through a lot. So we have Tima who played Rysand. We have Jem who played Gwyneth Badera. And Crystal will put up the post and I will try to find their Instagram so we can link them because I want to advertise them.
We will be putting their links down below. love.
Yes. We have Darrow, who was supposed to be Asriel. We have Alex, who was Tamlin. Yara, who was Amren. Tylee, who was Vivienne. Jack, who was Lucian. Spirit, who was Elaine. Lodi, who was Cassian. Megan, who was Nesta. And Jonathan, who was Thesan. Thesan. I'm probably not pronouncing these wrong, so I apologize. Or pronouncing them right. You see, I'm so bad I'm pronouncing shit wrong. Anyways.
Breathe, Mia. Don't let the calm mess with your brain.
Oh my God. So then there was that fuckery. And then we go to the volunteers who were not given lodgings. And by the way, so what happened was, and this will lead to the authors now, because what happened was you had a lot of vendors who were also told that they would get some kind of lodging deal. I don't know if it was supposed to be paid for fully or at least get something. And they got nothing. And then on top of that, the vendors came in. I don't know how many vendors were told this, but I think the big stickler for the vendors, because there was supposed to be a lot of vendors and people who were setting up panels and stuff. A lot of people left who were supposed to be hosting panels. And point in fact, I heard of numerous people who had to kind of run their own thing because nobody's there because those people left. Rightfully so. If you're going to drive 12 hours and you're coming to, I have to pay. Well, by the way, the rooms were $400 to $600.
Yeah.
So I've already spent about $200 on gas. Well, probably $300 in this economy. I am not going to pay another $400 for lodging. I'm the fuck out of there. Peace out, bro. Peace. I'm gone. So I don't blame anybody for leaving. And nobody else nobody else who went to this is blaming them either. It was unfortunate because they were supposed to be hosting panels and doing other things. And then you had vendors. So what was supposed to be is what was advertised is this panel, this event was supposed to be Thursday to Sunday. It was supposed to be this 4-day event. Then it got changed to Friday to Sunday. Of course, it's always fucking changed 3 days before. Was it a week? But it was like 3 days before. But it's always the last week where everything gets changed around because supposedly, suddenly, nothing can be arranged properly, Crystal.
Yeah, apparently stuff that I'll be honest, people. Me and I had a early rage fit when we were doing our research, and clearly stuff we have pointed out would have been solved in 5 fucking minutes and with a basic damn budget and a Sam's card or Costco card and everything else.
Well, not even the food, but here's the mistake I keep seeing is it seems like a lot of these event organizers are like, okay, you give me money 8 months beforehand, and I'm gonna wait till the last 2 fucking months to get or the last month or the last week to pay for lodging? Are you fucking serious? Do you guys
honestly
know, how are you planning this shit? Like, to me, if I was supposedly supposed to be planning an event and everybody pays me ahead of time, I'm going to have that convention center paid for. I'm going to have those hotel rooms paid for. Because, by the way, dumbasses, if you don't have shit paid for, this is what happened. People leave. People are not going to spend $400 for a room at the fucking Hilton if they were told they were going to get it for free. What are you talking about? They didn't budget for that. Are you for real?
Exactly. I mean, my goodness. It's like, one, if they had been alerted ahead of time, okay, this is where we are. And you could have said, unfortunately, like we were talking earlier, they could have said, unfortunately, we are unable to, come up with a hotel block or come up with hotel costs for you guys. These are some hotels in the area that we check their ratings. That would have been nice. And people would have been like, okay, can I afford accommodation here? Should I go?
Yeah.
But no, they had to flick and lie and make sure like, oh, we'll pay for it.
Yeah.
No, they're not. I mean, what the hell? You don't lie to people like that. You don't strand people like that.
And so then on top of this leads to what the vendors and authors went through. So a lot of vendors assumed that they could come in on Friday, set up, Thursday, because it got changed to Friday through Saturday, or Sunday. So they thought, okay, we'll come in. They're already there Thursday. So some of them stayed, paid for rooms. And well, that was also 6 hours of them waiting. So you add in 6 hours where they're waiting for somebody to pay a fucking bill and nobody does, or somebody to talk to them and nobody does. And then they go in, I believe it was either Thursday afternoon or night, where they were told they would be able to come in and set up their official stations, right? And then they get there and they're in there, they're walking in, they got let in, they were supposed to be, and then they got told, and I don't even think they got time to set up. I think they were just about to start setting up, and then they got told by the staff that they did not have permission to be there. And then they were told, and then the organizers, of course, take 10 hours to get back to them. Who knows, 2 hours, whatever. Way too much time way too much time when you're supposed to be told beforehand. They were told that, okay, in the morning, you'll get 2 hours or an hour to set up in the morning. And then 3 hours later, the event starts. A lot of vendors at that point left because a lot of vendors were like, wait a minute, you told me I would have time to set up. They were very upset. They were very pissed off. There was no communication. And my understanding is, I don't know who said what, because this is the part, so this is hearsay, okay? And I'm going to say allegedly hearsay because this is not confirmed. But what evidently happened is the organizers were blaming it on the authors or blaming something on the authors during this thread, or at least during this event, because the Discord evidently was blowing up because that's where people were going to get answers and nobody was there conveniently. Mm-hmm. So that blows up. So then authors the next day. So then the vendors who stayed came in, set up. The authors who came in were supposed to have tables. And I saw the diagram. It was very detailed. It was like A through J, K through this. And evidently only tables like A through J had even been set up. The rest of them, K through Z, were just the fuck. They were an idea. They were a fantasy in a fantasy convention that were not set up. And then on top of that, then because there was hardly, like, the staff that stayed, just in spite of having to pay for their own rooms, had no contact. They had nobody directing them. So pointing back, several of the people were like, yeah, we saw one guy running around crying who was having to deal with all this. And then one of the authors talks about how she went to her table. Another author had set up and taken her table for her own because she thought she could. She didn't know any better. And then she had to find a table somewhere else, and she ended up sharing with somebody else. And it was a whole flippity-doo-dah runaround. It was chaos. And from what I heard, people were upset, yelling. There was a lot of not happiness. So all these authors, but somehow, authors, we will do what we have to. So the authors were there, got set up, right? And I did hear that books were sold. I heard a good amount,
people did actually were able to sell books at this one at least.
Yes, because there were at least a couple 400 people at this event, which is much better than the 80 people at AML. But then we have the gold doubloon situation. And the gold doubloon situation is that's added into the nobody got paid for shit area, where people were exchanging gold doubloons for books, and authors thought, okay, the convention's going to repay us because that's what they were told. And that didn't happen. So at the end of this clusterfuck, the convention still happened. People got some of what they offered, but then, in the ballroom. Oh, we can't. The ball was offered.
The ballroom.
It wasn't prison ball style, but it was like high school gymnasium is what I heard. So
yeah, I left high school years ago. I would not pay people to make me re-experience it.
To be fair, I went to one of the swankier high schools. They went all out on shit. So if it was like my high school thing, I would go to it. But supposedly this was one step up from AML, but not by much. They had music, but it was like an hour late. They didn't have decorations.
Steve, at least.
They at least had Steve. Speakers were provided.
No, they had an improved version of Steve. Steve
they did. They had Steve's older brother. So
yeah, Steve's big brother was there.
Steve's big brother was there. So all this stuff. So there was no decorations though. It was just a dance floor. And and so you had the cosplayers. Poor cosplayers trying to keep everybody's spirits up. It was a whole fuckery. That's what happened. It was fuckery times fuckery. So in the end, everybody's like trying to find the organizers. Evidently there was some gaslighting, there was some blaming, there was some yada yada yada. But the organizers said afterwards they would give refunds. And then that got delayed. And then it got delayed again. And then it got delayed a third time. And then finally a statement came out because they were kind of getting updates and emails about this, that there would be 3 batches of refunds for stuff that people who ended up like having to pay for shit, money that was supposed to be paid, right? And there was supposed to be 3 batches. People were, I believe one of the dates was September 14th. One of the dates is September 30th. One of the dates was August 31st, I think, or 30th. And so far from what I've heard, at least batch 1 has not been paid. I believe I heard batch 2 has not been paid, but again, people are waiting. And then on top of that, for the gold doubloons that were supposed to be kind of instantly recomped, nobody has been recomped, which Atlas Creed talked about on his video.
Yeah, nobody who was given gold doubloons, which were supposed to be, basically they were supposed to give the author gold doubloons. The gold doubloon was supposed to be equal to paying the book, and the convention was supposed to pay the author the price of the book. Nobody saw any of that money. So that was just nothing but fake gold going around.
Yeah. And so on top of that, you have people who are now like, where's the money? We're waiting. Hi. And to be fair, some people were trying to give them grace. Atlas, who did go to AML and to this, did say that it wasn't as bad as AML because at least he sold stuff, but it wasn't great. And so the overwhelming, like, you have between the using a charity to get people to come and then not actually, I swear to God,
lure people to a crappy cafe that does worse than a maid cafe in Japan.
You guys, if you have not given that money to Make-A-Wish, and I better fucking see receipts. I'm not playing with you people.
It better go to Make-A-Wish because I don't want to do it.
If I don't see a fucking receipt of the Make-A-Wish paid, we're gonna have some words. I will find out your names. I will find out what organization, because right now,
and we will make another video.
Oh yeah, no, we'll have a blast because we will put your asses on blast. I ain't playing. We're not.
Yeah, we don't play around when you lie about charities. That's not nice. That's not the right thing to do. It's not hard to be a decent human being.
I better see. I'm gonna make this short right away, and then I'm gonna send the video to you. But I'm gonna make this short, and I'm gonna post this because
that's fine. Post it on our TikTok and our YouTube.
Exactly.
I want to hear it no more. I'm tired of this crap.
If I don't see that charity refund, I better see a charity receipt. I better see Make-A-Wish get some money, because if you did not give them the money, because clearly you didn't spend money on decorations, you didn't spend money on cosplayers, you didn't spend money on
food.
By the way,
you didn't spend money on nothing.
Here's the conspiracy theory, by the way. The conspiracy theory, there's always a conspiracy theory with these. The conspiracy theory for this is that the reason why they have 3 batches, Crystal, is because they already had people signing up for 2026, and they're evidently going to use that money to pay for it. But Crystal, where did the money go?
I don't know. Probably up. But you know what? I'm not going to say it because even that's a line too far. But still, just what the hell, people?
I don't know. I am literally like. I don't understand. Like, why are you guys using future profits to pay for something that you should have already had it paid? Because again, people gave you this. Again, this is another event that people gave money for at least 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't expect to get in for free. They paid money for their tables. They paid money for the damn hotels for most of them.
Yeah,
people paid money to get into your darn convention. We went over the ticket prices. Those weren't cheap.
Yeah. So you have the Make-A-Wish who wasn't even really involved and their logo got used. You have anime performers who were not paid and had to, by the way, they better get their money, because I'm telling you, I better see refunds. I better see checks. I better see receipts.
Checks better go out.
Yes. And then authors have not gotten paid for their books. And then you have, obviously the cosplayers have been F2. So again, where did all, I think that's always
they didn't even have to do this doubloons bullshit. They could have left it alone. But the fact that they didn't tells me that, hey, they won. We're just trying to scam people into paying extra for a ticket.
Yeah. So anyways, and actually, Crystal, we're doing great. We have 10 minutes left. So.
Okay. We're timing ourselves with our rage thing because we noticed we can rant a little too long.
Oh my God. I have a job where I use my voice now. So I'm about to lose my voice. But you know what?
Yeah, I want you to keep that voice. You need it.
I'm trying. So let's talk about something happy. I'm going to let Crystal go first so I can drink some things.
Okay. Something
Crystal,
happy is I'm completely retooling my website, Madam Crystal Butterfly, so that you guys will be able to buy my books off my website if you'd like to. And I will be featuring the first of my book boxes, which will be for my book, Curse of the Frog Prince Part 1. In addition to the book, you will be getting a cute keychain, a frog pin, and some other little cute items.
And I get everything for free, right? Because I'm your best.
I already sent you one free book. I am a broke off.
Yeah. Okay. But as long as I get my chocolate, I guess I can be okay.
Yes, I'm shipping your chocolate next week. I found another thing to ship it in.
So are you just stringing me along like these organizers?
No, I actually am. Guys, just for the record, 'cause I know me and I like to be silly this, but I actually am sending her a bar of Ghanaian chocolate.
She is. She's sending me a real bar. I will make a video for the podcast.
Where the box I was going to send the chocolate in got thrown out. I had to find something new to put it in. I just found something new to put it in. So I am going to the post office next week to mail it. I'm just not going to tell Mia when I do.
See, I'm amused. I want to put that out. Oh, by the way, also as a fun little joke, we have an author friend, Silas Seabrook. We will be interviewing him soon. We're going
to kidnap him for an interview soon enough.
Yes. And maybe we'll do that one live too. Anyways, we're going to kidnap him. And it was funny because today I was on his live and I was like, oh, if I'm late, I'm going to blame it on you to Crystal. And then I guess Crystal had a meeting with somebody in his Discord. And then when she went in there, Silas was in there and said, oh, tell Mia that I made you late. So anyway, Silas, why are you the problem? I don't understand why you're the problem.
He's a problem because he wants to be the problem. Y'all notice we mention him a lot because he wants to be the problem.
No, he will. Me and him, we've had the prologue conversation again. You guys, we'll be discussing that on his interview. Let me just put that teaser out. So for something happy for me is that I had writer's block with this Dragon Shifter book I've been working on. And I am finally past it. So the chapter I was stuck on, I got done. I actually added 2 new chapters. One that I've completed, one that comes further down the road, so it's perfect. I can complete that later. And I'm on the bad guy
chapter. Me a free copy of that book.
I will, Crystal, because we are besties. We're co-host besties. So of course I'm going to give you a free Dragon Shifter book. It won't be one of the special editions, but I will. Yes,
well, special editions. That's asking too much because special editions are expensive.
It's not special edition. I'll give you the regular one, but I am planning special editions. But I'm just really happy about that because I'm gonna try to get. I have an idea of who I want to do the book, and my idea for it is that they will be the ones, and I want them to put dragons on the pages. And I have a certain idea because I have a blue dragon and a purple dragon, so I might do 2 special editions. I might do an amethyst edition, and I might do a cobalt blue edition.
That is such a good idea.
But that's kind of how I want to go because my main male character is a cobalt blue dragon, and my female dragon is an amethyst dragon. Of course, it's my favorite color. Why? So I kind of want to do 2 special editions. It's kind of on my head. And on top of that, I think I picked a publishing date. Now, if I can get all this shit done by then is no fucking clue. But one of the reasons why I did this book was because I am a huge lover of sci-fi and fantasy. Obviously, I've been a reader for many years. But one of my things is that I love Anne McCaffrey, who passed away. By the way, that's one of the saddest things in my life is I never got to meet her. She was one of the pioneering women for the rest of us who actually let it be that women can write fantasy and science fiction, because for a long time it was male writers who could only do it because women were supposed
all the acknowledgments. Forget the fact that Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, one of the longest running horror books that has prominence for years.
Well, not even that, but like in science fiction and fantasy, women were not allowed. Again, we weren't even allowed in the field to begin with, and then when we finally got allowed in, we were only allowed to do certain types of books. Fantasy and sci-fi, it isn't. But sci-fi and fantasy was considered out of our league because we were women. And Anne McCaffrey was this woman who started in the 70s or 80s with Marion Zimmer Bradley and a lot of Andre Norton, who published science fiction fantasy books as a woman and basically told the establishment to fuck itself, that she could do what she wanted. And she wrote The Dragon Riders of Pern, and I fucking love that series. I actually just started rereading it. It's been a long time. So
I need to read it. I didn't hear about that one.
Oh my, Dragon Riders of Pern. Oh my God. I will send you the books. I have all the ebooks. I will send them to you. These books, there's like 20 something of them. Her son actually helped her finish them. And it is such a beautiful series. And it's so detailed. And that was one of the first Dragon series. And I literally have been walking around telling people to make Dragon books forever. So because I love dragons. The more Dragon books, the better.
Does. She told me to put the dragon in a book, and I forgot that I already did.
Yep. I'm not playing when it comes to dragons. So because for a long time there was series by J.A. Aiken. There was Anne McCaffrey. There was a few dragons here and there. Elizabeth Kern. There's a few authors who did it, but not a lot until the last 5 years. So I really love that we're coming into our dragon era right now, where we have. And while I might have an issue with Rebecca Yarros when it comes to the language stuff, I love the fact that she gave us dragons. Like, I want more dragons. Give me dragons.
We need dragons. Don't ask why. We just need them.
Exactly. So anyways, we have 4 minutes left, but that's my happy thing. Next up is part 2. Part 2 is going to be about Sinners and Stardust, and that actually the convention did not fuck up. The readers fucked up, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to have a serious discussion.
Yeah.
There is going to be rage, so be prepared.
There is going to be serious rage with that one.
We have politics episodes coming up, people, and Crystal evidently is adding South Park episodes to our lineup, so more South Park episodes are coming.
Well, the South Park episodes are coming because a lot of people, we bring certain things up. I will admit only so many people are interested in these serious topics yet, but we combine it with the fact that South Park also brought it up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, people want to pay closer attention. So my hat's off to South Park for covering this stuff. This is very serious and people need to get serious.
And so we're going to do that also. We are going to be talking about, because I just came across and something about how ICE arrested people during a fucking fire in Washington. We're going to discuss, and by discuss,
that's going to be a serious discussion on a Sutra
I'm going to lose my voice, probably, because I'm real fucking pissed about this.
Voice, Mia. I need somebody to help me with the rage in this stuff.
I'm so pissed that they had the goddamn nerve. Anyways, I won't do politics on this episode because this is a book episode, but I'm telling you, there's some rage.
Politics free unless it's very good news.
So there is politics episodes coming up. There's going to be a second part to this video, which should be posted next week. And so anyways, we love you guys. Thank you so much for coming and listening to us go off about this.
Thank you so much, everybody. We adore you.
Please like, please subscribe, please leave comments too. We love comments. We love people.
Yes, we love the comments.
Unless you're a troll, and then, I guess you can leave a troll comment, but
you can leave a troll comment. You'll be lucky if we respond to it.
Right. Okay. So we love you guys. Thank you so much. This is As the Pages Turn, The Good and the Bad Part 1. Part 2 is coming up. And we have a wonderful night. And we will see you next time.